I also want to address some of the ignorant comments that were made by a couple councilmen last council meeting. And I quote these. I'm not going to support this project because of Four Seasons may not do Powder Hollow. Again, I'm not going to support a project that is going to be funded on the backs of taking a project away from our kids. I have a problem funding brand new lights for men's softball. You're funding lights for the town of Enfield and Brainerd Park for a public park, not for men's softball. Okay?
Mr. DeLorge, don't ever call me ignorant. And number two, if you're going to quote me, do the full quote. I said, I am not going to fund the project because Four Seasons is not going to do the Powder Hollow project because I want to know if we need to put more money into the project. Thanks. I am not going to support this project because Four Seasons may not do Powder Hollow. I'm not going to support a project that is going to be funded on the backs of taking a project away from our kids. And I have a real problem funding brand new lights for men's softball. And I have a real problem funding brand new lights for men's softball. And I have a real problem funding brand new lights for men's softball.
Councilman Cekala.
Thank you. So, first question is, I thought that the field lights on 1 couldn't be used anymore because they were so antiquated, and that's the reason we were replacing them. But now we can, and we're going to.
They're not all working. So the ones that are working, we're going to try to limp them. We're going to take everything that we can humanly take off of those to get number 2, to get the field 2 up to snuff and have spares ready to go.
So is field 2 going to be completely lit?
Yes.
Okay. So again, it's late. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I have a couple of points I need to make. I am not going to support this project because Four Seasons may not do Powder Hollow. I'm not going to support a project that is going to be funded on the backs of taking a project away from our kids. And I have a real problem funding brand new lights for men's softball. Men's softball, if you go on the USSSA website, and I'm going to preface this with, I bet Buildings and Grounds and DPW doesn't know how many tournaments they hold there. But if you go on the USSSA website, they hold a number of tournaments there every single year. UTRIP is not an exempt organization, which means we should be getting $1,000 a day. We're not. For fiscal year 23, we received $2,000 from Enfield men's softball. That's it. 5 tournaments, 2 days each. Non-exempt organizations, you do the math. And that's a minimum. That does not include any local tournaments that men's softball do themselves. That's only through USSSA. So the amount of money, unless there is money that the town has gotten from men's softball, somewhere that I haven't seen, and thank you for sending all of that information that shows the exact amount that we've gotten, they aren't paying their fair share. And I am absolutely not going to fund lights for them on the backs of my kids.
Good evening. Scott DeLorge, 336 George Washington Road. First of all, I'd like to thank the council, the 7 council members that, with the common sense to pass to get those Brainerd lights fixed. So I applaud you on that, and thank you very much. I want to start off with reading you guys some emails over the history down there real quick to really what the big picture is, why we're doing these lights. Back in 2017 is when it really first started. The umpire called me up and he said he went down to turn on the lights, and as he turned them on, a bunch of sparks came flying out down at the bottom of those poles, and the lights did not come on. They didn't come on for about a week after that. The second one, these are all emails from town employees. These are from Buildings and Grounds to me, and Donald was also CC'd on it. A report of dogs being shocked by bleachers on the third base line. A call's been placed to the electrical contractor for repairs. I will keep you informed. 2 days later, another from Buildings and Grounds to me. Hello, the small field is closed due to a short in the lights, causing the fence and the bleachers to become electrified. Contractor thinks he might be ready tomorrow. That took 2 weeks to get fixed. So basically Band-Aid after Band-Aid, year after year. Doug, I'm sure you know more about this as I do. So with all this paper trail, thank God, like I said, thank God you approved the lights. But with this paper trail, if you didn't approve these lights and someone seriously got hurt, maybe the town attorney can educate everyone up there what would really happen, who would win that lawsuit against the residents of town of Enfield. So I applaud you guys for getting that done. So I also want to address some of the ignorant comments that were made by a couple councilmen last council meeting. And I quote these. I'm not going to support this project because of Four Seasons may not do Potter Hollow. So we won't support lights that are electrocuting dogs and shutting off during mid-pitch, and guys can't get parts for it because a vendor won't do something at another project. Again, I'm not going to support a project that is going to be funded on the backs of taking a project away from our kids. We'll let you know that also the kids do play down there, Gina. They play soccer. We've had youth soccer down there using those fields. We've had senior night from Enfield softball teams playing down there using the lights because Higgins Field was destroyed. So they get to go up there and play for the last 3 years. Also, the police and the fire department, some of them are probably here, also play down there. Enfield men's softball is not the only one, okay? I have a problem funding brand new lights for men's softball. You're funding lights for the town of Enfield and Brainerd Park for a public park, not for men's softball, okay? I bet Buildings and Grounds and DPW doesn't know how many tournaments they hold there. Another great one. Well, let me educate you how it works. At the beginning of the year, we put an application in for that for those events. We put whatever that we can get it with Mark, and he looks at it and he approves the dates. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But Mark Garr and the Department of Public Works know exactly what we're doing down there, okay? We're not cheating nobody. And if you go on the Mutual Aid's website she mentioned, they hold a number of tournaments every single year. Well, in 2021 we held 2, in 2022 we held 3, and this past year we held 4, okay? So for the 23 fiscal year, she said that we received $2,000 from Enfield men's softball. She's right. Good job. The next part of it was, though, she mentioned there was 5 tournaments, 2 days each, non-exempt organizations. They're only 1 day, okay? 1 day, and it was only 4 tournaments. So she was wrong there. That does not include any local tournaments that the men's softball run on themselves. We don't run any. Buildings and Grounds knows how many tournaments that we run down there. They have the list. We give them the money, and we play the tournaments. If they're rained out, they're rained out. They aren't paying their fair share. I think a couple other members mentioned this too, and I believe there was $5,900 in the field use fee. Enfield men's softball did $2,000 of it. So I believe that's almost half of the fair share, okay? And if, I believe in October of last year, a certain individual had the field fee waived for a benefit tournament down there. So I wish someone was doing that for me, but that ain't happening for me. So we're doing things the right way. So some other things.
That's time, Scott.
Okay, come back up later?
If there's time to come back
Yeah,
up.
all right,
yes.
thanks.
Thank you. In the back. You have 3 minutes, Scott.
Thank you. Okay, just a couple other statements that were made. This came from a councilman. I am not going to be in favor of this particular project due to the fact the money is $500,000 taken out of the project that was already vetted. That person had no problem taking money from other projects here in the town of Enfield to go down to Potter Hollow. Do we actually know who controls these fields? Are we the ones who control these fields, or is it the head of the Men's Softball Association, which is me? Well, I can answer that question. It's DPW and Buildings and Grounds. It's definitely not Scott DeLorge. Okay? They do a great job of what they can. Basically, the last 10 years have been basically putting lipstick on a pig. Do we know the tournaments that they are being run? I already addressed that earlier about putting the application in with the town for the dates that are approved by the town. This was the kicker. They could actually be funding their lights just like Little League funds a lot of their projects. Well, I'm not sure why I need to go fund lights that are electrocuting dogs. You guys can't get parts for. But maybe like to say the statement of saying the same thing, why don't you go down and fundraise for your press boxes and your dugouts for your Powder Hollow Park? But you see how dumb that statement is too? So before you start attacking the association that's never really asked anything from the council in the past 30 years for the fields down there. We have never asked for nothing. Know your facts, okay? Because Brainerd Park, a year ago, everyone agreed, including the old town manager, it was deplorable, okay? And a gentleman wanted to come in with his own money and fix it. All new park, 2 new softball fields. And a small group came in, and the majority of the last council bent the knee. Okay? So, thank you very much for your time. Again, thank you for funding and find these lights because, again, it's going to be a big help for the future Enfield men's softball, who's going to be taking over next year and the years to come, because I will be done after this year, after this project is completed. So, again, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, you will be our last speaker tonight. Time is up. Councilman Cekala.
I don't really have much to say. Thank you to all of our speakers. Mr. Delorge, don't ever call me ignorant. And number 2, if you're going to quote me, do the full quote. I said, I am not going to fund the project because Four Seasons is not going to do the Powder Hollow project because I want to know if we need to put more money into the project. Thanks.